All right. Hey, gonna give this a second or two. I wanted to get online real quick and give a sort of update on or talk about some of the town halls that have happened recently and what these politicians on the left are doing to come for your guns in preparing for my normal radio show that I do here out of Temple.
All right.
Called
Hey,
Logic
gonna
Nation.
give this a second or two. I wanted to get on.
I get to hear a lot of things, and unfortunately, I got to listen to a lot of clips and interviews and town halls and stuff that really I just don't really care too much about. But there's a lot going on with guns. In the last few days, this weekend, a lot went on. We went up to Oklahoma, open carry Texas, went up to Oklahoma to support a couple of individuals up there whose gun rights they're having the same problems that we have down here in Texas. Now, keep in mind, they actually have somewhat better gun laws. Definitely come November 1st, they're going to have much better gun laws than we do here in Texas because they're going to have constitutional carry at that point. They're going to be able to carry without a license a handgun, open or concealed. And right now, you can't carry a rifle in Oklahoma unless you're actually hunting or involved in sports, whatever. You can't do that like we can do that here in Texas. So that's a little bit different in Oklahoma versus here. But come November 1st, they'll be able to do that as well. So Oklahoma is definitely going the right direction. Texas is not going anywhere. I will have a video. Actually, I think we're going to do it on the Open Carry Texas channel. We are preparing a video, a live video, where y'all can call in and also take part. And we're going to go over everything that was done in the legislature related to gun rights and gun laws. And we're going to talk about what bills actually passed. So come September 1st, what will the new gun laws here in Texas be? And we're also going to talk about what happened with why gun bills did not pass. The only reason we haven't done this yet is we're waiting to see, and we don't expect anything to be different. I know what Abbott is going to sign. I know what he's not going to sign. I don't think anything passed related to guns that he's not going to sign. But we did want to wait a little bit just to make sure that the laws and the bills that we talk about are actually going to be signed into law. But also, I wanted to get my legislative director Rick Briscoe together, as well as our vice president David Ahmad, in the same place, preferably in this studio, so we can talk about this openly, so we can take phone calls and be able to do this thing. Hey, Roki in Washington, how you doing? Yes, the Socialist Republic of Seattle. You got it tough up there, but thanks for listening. Soliaker, what's up, brother? Good to see you, Dusty. Good to see you. Yeah, so let me get into this. Last night, I got back from Oklahoma really late on Saturday night, and so I kind of took it easy yesterday. I had a migraine most of the day. I get a lot of migraines thanks to Olmos Park, but my doctor did give me some pretty good meds for that, and so I didn't do much yesterday. So I did spend a lot of time listening to the town halls of these individuals that are trying to run for the Democratic nomination, and gun control and gun rights is a huge part of that. And I want you to actually listen to some of the things that these politicians are saying that they want to do. And this doesn't even include what they're talking about on Twitter and everything. This is just on the national stage, what they're saying. So I've got some clips here that from Eric Swalwell and from Kirsten Gillibrand that I want to play about their positions and what they would do if they were president. Now, the good news is, well, it's sort of good news and it's bad news. The good news is neither of these individuals, these douchebags, are going to get elected. All right, neither of them, because they're not going to get their nomination. They're not going to get the party's nomination. Kirsten Gillibrand is too white, and Eric Swalwell is too stupid. So, but it's still important because the other Democratic candidates obviously feel the same way about gun control. We're just waiting for them to say it. They've all said it. Kamala Harris has said it. Cory Booker has said it. They're obviously not too white, although they are also too stupid. But this is what's being said is what's being said all the time. But what do I start with? What I want to start with is this quote because I'm a little perplexed here. I'm a little perplexed.
Some of you may be aware our gun laws in the United States don't make much sense. Anybody can buy any weapon anytime without much, if any, regulation. They can buy it over the internet. They can buy machine guns.
Wow. First of all, there's applause there. I'm not sure if they're applauding the fact that you can get guns or they're applauding the fact that Obama thinks that those are bad laws. But what Obama just said there, I want to play this part one more time.
If any regulation, they can buy it over the internet. They can buy machine guns.
Where can I buy machine guns over the internet? This is a serious question, the chat room there. I did go to machineguns.com. That takes me to a defense contractor that actually does provide machine guns to the military. But I did a search. I went to Gun Trader. I went to eBay. I've been everywhere online looking for where these machine guns are that Obama is saying that we can get on the internet. Now, he's saying this in Brazil, which is the gun control capital of the world. I'm sorry, the gun violence capital of the world, if you want to use that stupid term. Hey, Douchebag News, how you doing? It's the gun control and gun violence capital of the world. So to Brazil, he's going down there and complaining about American gun laws and just blatantly lying to the people down there about our gun laws here. You cannot buy a gun on the internet here. Now, I'm going to qualify that statement because I guess in a way you can. I can buy a gun and then have it shipped through an FFL. So I have to buy it from an FFL to an FFL. I can buy a gun on like Gun Trader, but I have to pick it up in person. But you can't buy machine guns anywhere. And okay, I want to be completely honest with you. Technically, you can buy a machine gun. However, you've got to go through the ATF stamp process, and you might have to have a couple tens of thousands of dollars on you as well. So if you've got tens of thousands of dollars burning a hole in your pocket, and you go through the ATF process of getting a tax stamp to be able to purchase and possess that machine gun, then yes, you can have a machine gun. However, we're talking about 0.01, if that, percent of all the guns in this country are machine guns. And it's probably lower than that. 0.01% of machine guns. And this is kind of interesting because when we were in Oklahoma on the way out, as we were packing up all of our stuff, we were packing up all our stuff. Then we were trying to figure out where we were going to eat. And we were in a little shopping center, one of those little L-shaped strip mall type places that have nail salons and comic book stores and a couple of places to eat like a Subway and all that. Well, this woman comes up to us in the parking lot and says that she doesn't want us to be there and points to the fact that we've got machine guns on us. And this woman claimed to be a Trump supporter. Everything that she said and the way she worded things, this is a lie. The fact that she brings out her camera and starts recording the way that she does, obviously we don't have any problem with that. It was all a lie. But she's even talking about machine guns. If you're truly, anyway, this whole thing about machine guns, I just want to know, where can I get one of these machine guns online? It doesn't even have to be easy. Make it hard on me. Where can I get one of these machine guns? I would love to have a machine gun. I think what she was talking about, at least in this parking lot, not talking about Obama, one of the guys in his AR pistol had one of those Magpul 60-round drums. And I think she believed that since that drum was inside the AR pistol, that was somehow a machine gun. I don't know. It's just stupidity at its finest. But there's your former president right there, Barack Obama, telling a Brazilian audience that American gun laws suck because you can buy machine guns over the internet. I don't get it. Then you've got Eric Swallowswell. Eric Swallowswell is running a campaign on gun control. That is he is seeking the mom's demand. This is the Moms Demand Action poster boy candidate right here. He's always tagging them. He's pandering to the Moms Demand Action crowd. He's looking for Moms Demand Action money, and at the same time, he's coming after you and me. Well, Eric Swallowswell did his town hall on CNN, and he's trying to ban AR-15s and all those kinds of other type things, and guns. And of course, all of us on the right, the gun owners, are actually calling it out for what it is, which is, all of these gun bans, they lead to one thing, and especially his idea of a gun buyback, confiscation. It is a door-to-door confiscation. If you do not turn your gun in, I guarantee it's going to be, this is what's happening in New Zealand right now. This is what's happening in New Zealand right now. They just banned, after that shooting that they had at the Christchurch Mosque, they banned all semi-automatic modern sporting rifles. And they are literally going, if they see videos online, they're combing the internet, social media, YouTube, looking for people that did videos in New Zealand and had an AR-15. And then they're going through their rolls because nobody's turning these things in. Very, very few people in New Zealand are turning in their guns. So what is New Zealand doing? They are going house to house. Now, Eric Swalwell's trying to sort of play this sleight of hand by saying that we're not talking about house to house. But yes, they're not going on a street house to house. But what they are doing is in New Zealand, and this is where these confiscations and these gun bans and these buybacks come from. And Eric Swallowswell is a guy that is buying this hook, line, and sinker. And I'm going to get to that, to the second piece in a second here. He's trying to convince America that you can keep your gun. I'm not trying to take your guns. Listen to this. Oh, let me push the button.
So do you think that you can win in places like the South and Midwest, leading your campaign on the gun question? And what do you tell those constituents in those areas that you're not out to, quote, take their guns?
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I tell them, keep your pistols, keep your rifles, keep your shotguns. But we can ban and buy back the most dangerous weapons. And there's a new gun safety majority in America, and it's time that we lean in and negotiate up.
All right. That's exactly what gun owners need to do. We need to start negotiating up. We're done with the middle ground. All right. We're at the middle ground. We're past the middle ground. So there is no more middle ground. The middle ground takes us back even further away from the Constitution. Not one more inch. Say no to any gun bans, any gun parts bans, anything that has to do with a firearm. If it can be put on a firearm, if it can be taped to a firearm, if it can be shot through a firearm, or if it's used to hold a firearm, no, no, no. But I have a question. What is he talking about here? Let me play this part one more time.
So do you think that you can win?
Right,
Thank you, Jason. I tell them, keep your pistols, keep your rifles, keep your shotguns. But we can ban and buy back the most dangerous weapons. But we can ban and buy back the most dangerous weapons. But we can ban and buy back the most dangerous weapons. The most dangerous weapons. And the most dangerous weapons.
All right, what is that? What is the most dangerous weapon? Texas Citizen beat me to it. That's exactly what I was going to do. What does that mean? You can keep your rifles and your pistols and your shotguns.
And there's a new gun safety majority, the most dangerous weapons.
What does that mean? You can keep your rifles, pistols, and shotguns, but you can't have the most dangerous weapons. Why? What is that? What is the most dangerous weapon at all? I mean, my 45 caliber 1911 is pretty dangerous. And I would say in certain circumstances, it's probably more dangerous than my AR-15. You had a guy in Virginia Beach that just shot a bunch of people with 2 pistols. Those were obviously much more dangerous than an AR-15. If there's a reason that in the military, the M4 has replaced the M16. The M16 was an extremely long and bulky rifle. And it's very difficult, especially in an urban environment, to traverse your weapon and put it on target inside of a building or inside of an enclosed structure or in an urban environment. It is much easier if you have a shorter barreled rifle. And so the military, what they did was initially, the first thing they did was decide, okay, we need a collapsible stock. And so they replaced the standard stock with a collapsible stock to be able to make the rifle a little bit shorter. Then they made the barrel a little bit shorter. Now we've got the M4. And the M4 is a much shorter version of the M16 because it's much easier for troops in a combat zone to maneuver inside of a building or inside of an urban environment with a smaller weapon. So when you sit here and talk about dangerous weapons, a rifle is definitely much more dangerous at a longer distance, but a pistol is much more dangerous at a shorter distance, especially inside of a building, especially inside of an office building that's got many different rooms, because it's very easy to disarm somebody with a rifle because there's a lot to grab onto. There's a lot to grab onto. There's not a lot of play in order to stay on target, whereas a pistol in, again, certain circumstances. So when you say you're going to take away the most dangerous weapons, first of all, you have no idea of anything that you're talking about at all, because my weapons are not dangerous at all unless you screw with me. And then it just depends on what gun I'm carrying. I'll tell you this right now. This weapon right here, this is my backup. This is my TCP, my Taurus TCP. It's a 380. Itty bitty thing. Look at this. I don't have big hands either. All right, here we go, liberals. I'm gonna give you your fodder. I've got pretty small hands because I'm a fairly small guy. I'm stocky, but I'm a small guy. I guarantee you this gun right here is just as dangerous as this gun right here. Both of these are just as dangerous. And both of these are just as dangerous as my AR-15. Both of these will kill you in different circumstances, and I will use them as I need them to defend my life and defend my family's life and to defend my property. So this is a nice wordsmithing there, nice wordsmithing by Eric Swalwell. But you notice that they never, on CNN, you notice he didn't ask any follow-ups. He did not ask any follow-up questions. Well, what do you mean by dangerous weapon? So Eric Swalwell goes on, though, and he does ask, so what about those people that don't want to turn it in? I mean, are you saying these people are going to go to jail or what?
New Zealand was still mourning their dead, and they passed an assault weapons ban. So my ban would, buy back assault weapons. There's about 15 million of them.
Okay, again, this is Eric Swalwell talking about New Zealand. And what New Zealand has done they didn't just do a gun buyback. They didn't just do a ban. They are doing confiscations right now. They are going door to door, taking by force firearms that were legal just months ago, that people had purchased legally, who have no intention of doing anything like what was done at the Christchurch Mosque or in New Zealand. And yet, those are the people that are losing their guns. People who would never, ever hurt another human being are now losing their guns. And doing so through the threat of force.
If you want to still possess them and not sell them back, you can keep them at a hunting club or a shooting range. I just don't think they belong in our churches, our theaters, at our shopping centers, at our concerts anymore.
This is funny. This is funny. I want you to listen to this one more time. I want to see if people sort of hear this the way that I hear this, because I don't think Eric Swalwell gets what he just said here. And I'm going to, while you're listening to this, maybe in the chat room, y'all can see if you hear what I hear. He doesn't say it. He doesn't say what I hear. But he talks about storing weapons.
If you want to still possess them and not sell them back, you can keep them at a hunting club or a shooting range. I just don't think they belong in our churches, our theaters, at our shopping centers, at our concerts anymore.
So what's interesting is, all right, I don't know about you guys. I don't belong to a shooting club anymore. I stopped going to shooting clubs because literally every single shooting club I have tried to join, so that, you get free range access and all that. You just got to pay your membership dues and all that kind of stuff. Every single shooting club that I have had to join has required me to do something. And I don't like it. Do you know what that something is that they've required me to do? They've required me to be a member of the NRA. Eric Swalwell, who absolutely loathes the NRA, now has as a part of his plan that more people must join the NRA in order for his gun control plans to work. Because in order to join a gun club, you have got to be a member of the NRA. All the ranges around here, well, one of the clubs all in my area here in Bell County, unless you just want to pay to go to the range, that's different. But every gun club within 100 miles of me that I can find requires you to be an NRA member. So if I have to store my guns, and this is never going to happen. So I'm not saying this because it's going to happen, because I'm not going to comply with this anyway. But in order for me to store my guns legally, I would have to become an NRA and then keep it in that gun club. So what Eric Swalwell is doing here right now is he's actually endorsing the NRA. It's amazing. He goes on.
And people would go to
people are
jail
behind this.
if they didn't
It would be
hand
like
those back.
we're not going to send cops, house to house, but like any other contraband, if you have it and you're, not supposed to, yeah, you would go to jail.
Yeah, you go to jail. Yeah, you go to jail. We're just going to say that something that's legal today is no longer legal. We're going to say it's not legal tomorrow. And you know what we're going to do if you don't obey, CJ, because I'm not going to obey. So, CJ, if you don't obey, then you're going to go to jail. Okay, well, Eric, let me ask you this. What if when you come to take me to jail, I decide I'm not going to jail because I recognize that the reason I'm going to jail is because you have violated my constitutional right to self-preservation. And because you violated as a government agent my right to self-preservation, I will defend that right with my life. What if I refuse to go to jail? Huh? What if I refuse to go to jail, Eric Swalwell? Now what? And what if I tell you that when the police are surrounding my house and the only way they're going to get me out is violence, someone is going to die. Someone is going to get shot. So in your furtherance of solving the gun violence problem, what you're really doing is you're creating more gun violence. But you know who you're creating gun violence for? Not people who would normally murder somebody, but people who would never hurt someone except in self-defense. And what your government would do, Eric Swalwell, what your government would do is turn normally nonviolent people into violent people. You would turn someone who would never die, who would have never died, most likely, through gun violence, into someone who is probably going to be murdered by the very same government thugs that you send to enforce your will. Because you think that guns that I own perfectly legal right now, and I've owned for decades, who have never shot another human being in their life, are suddenly I can't have them. And so what that's going to mean is, and I'm just going to make this very clear, I have absolutely no fear of dying, none whatsoever. I have no fear of dying because you know what? I personally know what is in store for me after I die. So I have no fear of this life. This life for me is just in the eternal perspective of things is just a blink of the eye. And hopefully, if it is me that ends up dead, then hopefully it means something for the people that are left behind, that they take my death and that of my families, because you're not coming up against one guy with a gun. You're coming up with an entire family of people who can shoot. And so now this is where also these police officers come into play. Because I think law enforcement has to really do a lot of introspection here with what Eric Swalwell has said. Because law enforcement, I want you to hear this one more time. Because this thought process right here, for those of you cops out there, you all talk about wanting to go home at night. How you just want to provide for your families. That you're just trying to protect the community. I want you to listen to this one more time because this is what you are going to have to do as a person who wears a badge, takes an oath to the Constitution, but you feel like you're going to have to enforce the law no matter what it is.
And people would go to
people are
jail
behind us.
if they didn't
It would
hand
be like
those
any-
back.
We're not going to send cops, house to house, but
He says we're not going to send cops house to house, but
like any other contraband, if you have it and you're, not supposed to, yeah, you would go to jail.
how do you know if I've got that contraband? What are you going to do? Obviously, I've got videos and I've been seen out there with an AR-15 on my back. Obviously, I own at least one of these types of awesome, amazing tools of self-defense. So, to the officers that are listening to this, is this something you really want to? I mean, is this something really worth your family over? Because you won't be able to go home to your family potentially. Now, I guarantee you, I absolutely guarantee you that if you leave law-abiding citizens alone, even after such a law would theoretically be passed, I guarantee you you're probably going home to your family at night because there's no threat to you other than the criminal element that is outside of all of that. But what I can also guarantee you out there is if you enforce these gun bans and if you enforce these confiscations and these buybacks, I guarantee you that you might not go back to your family. And even if you go back to your family that night, that you decide you're going to try and enforce an unconstitutional gun ban, you're going back to your family with the knowledge that you just murdered a law-abiding citizen, a peaceful citizen who had a firearm, who was not a threat to anyone, but because a bureaucrat decided that they were going to create a statute that magically turned me into a criminal just because I owned a piece of property, not what that piece of property was used for, but just the fact that it was in my possession. Didn't hurt anybody. It can be locked up in a safe, that's locked up in a safe, that's locked up in a lock room, that's buried 3 stories underground. It doesn't matter. I have it. And that is what you are doing. So when it gets to that point that Eric Swalwell, law enforcement, and law-abiding gun owners, Eric Swalwell is putting your life in danger if you decide you're going to enforce these kinds of plans. Now, moving on to Kirsten Gillibrand, there's actually something that I do agree with Kirsten Gillibrand on, and it's this.
And I think the most outrageous thing that's happened to our democracy is how much fear and division and hate has been spread. I think the NRA is the worst organization in this country for doing exactly that. They care more about their profits.
Well, not that part. But yeah, and I'll tell you why I don't think the NRA is the worst organization for the reasons that she does. I think it's the worst organization because they tell you one thing and they take your money to do one thing and then they do another thing. They do something different. They go behind your back and work out deals to undercut your rights. Why do we have a bump stock ban? Well, we don't have a bump stock ban right now, but why did the ATF and why are they trying to enact a gun stock ban or bump stock ban? Because the NRA, as soon as the Las Vegas shooting happened, sent a letter to the ATF saying, you guys should probably look and regulate this. There's a video. You can go right now and search the NRA's YouTube channel. Just do in the search bar, type NRA red flag laws. There is a video of the NRA spokesman, Chris Cox, saying that we need red flag laws. That's why I think the NRA is the worst organization in the country. She thinks it's the worst organization in the country because the left wants so much gun control that even just a little gun rights, or just fighting for a little bit of gun rights, is a bad thing. And the NRA is a powerhouse. Nobody can dispute that. They do have a lot of money, although that's getting less and less because people like me are waking up and leaving. But the rest of the stuff is just utter nonsense that she's talking about. So that's the only part that I actually agreed with, is that the NRA is the worst organization. But then she doubles down on that and says just the stupidest things about the NRA. And so I'll defend anybody, even if I don't like you. If someone says something wrong about you, I'm going to defend you. So there's some parts in here I'm going to defend.
I think the NRA is the worst organization in this country for doing exactly that. They care more about their profits.
The NRA is a nonprofit organization. So it would have been more accurate to say they care more about their donations. And let me tell you something, I'm not a fan of bump stocks. I'm really not. They're stupid. I've got one. Yes, I've got one. I said it live. It's right here. I don't care. Yes, I've got a bump stock. But I haven't shot mine, but I've shot a bump stock before, and they're stupid. They're dumb. I'd rather have an automatic weapon. The only thing that a bump stock is good for is, if anything, suppressive fire. But I'll tell you right now, because that's the only thing a machine gun is really good for. It's good for area targets and suppressive fire. That's what machine guns are good for. And a bump stock is not, because when you're under stress, if you don't hold that bump stock just right, and try doing that in the prone position. Bump stocks are not, they easily malfunction. They don't really malfunction. It's just they don't work correctly unless you use them correctly and you hold them correctly. I just got one because I knew that everyone hated them, and it looked like they were going to get banned one day. And so I said, well, I'm going to get one now while I can. So bump stocks do suck, but the NRA is not a for-profit company. Now, they definitely do care about your donations, though. So let's move on.
Than the American people. They care more.
Oh, by the way, the NRA is made up of American people. By their numbers, about 5 million of us. And again, I'm a life member. I haven't denounced my membership. They'll just never get another dollar from me. But the NRA is made up of the American people. So that's kind of stupid and counterintuitive. Keep in mind, the left is not very smart to begin with. But it's kind of stupid and counterintuitive to say that the NRA doesn't care about the American people when the NRA depends on the American people. It's kind of hard to get people to join you and donate if they're dead. Thankfully, it's not the NRA members that are out there shooting people, but it is NRA members who are probably out there getting shot and killed, especially by these Democrats like the ones in the shooting in Virginia.
About selling guns to someone.
The NRA does not sell guns. Okay, the NRA doesn't sell guns. Now, do some gun manufacturers support them and sponsor them? Yes. But this is another lie by the left that Kirsten Gillibrand is spreading.
They care more about selling guns to someone on the terror watch list.
I just don't even know where to go with that. I don't think Kirsten Gillibrand realizes that the terror watch list is one of the most unconstitutional documents or databases or whatever the hell it is. Does anyone know what the terror watch list is? No. Because anybody, for any reason, can be put on the quote-unquote terror watch list. There's no oversight whatsoever. That's why the NRA opposes the terror watch list, although they really don't. They don't believe that some people should not be allowed to fly. The problem is it's a due process issue. And people are put on the only reason they oppose the terror watch list is because right now there's not a due process retainer on that.
Or someone with grave mental illness, or someone
what is a grave mental illness besides liberalism?
Who has a violent criminal background. They're against universal background checks.
I'm against universal background checks too. Why? Because let me tell you this. One day, we thought it would just be a great idea if we said, you know what? These people who are murdering people and are violent and can't be trusted in society, and they've murdered and raped and whatever, they shouldn't be trusted with guns. They shouldn't have guns. And everyone was like, yeah, that sounds good. We shouldn't let people who are violent, who murder people, we should not let them have guns. All right, good. Let's ban all felons from having guns. All felons. On the Open Carry Texas channel, on our Oklahoma, when we were up in Oklahoma, we were doing a live stream. And towards the end of that live stream, I don't know exactly where it's at, but you'll see if you go and watch that video of our live stream, there was a point where we were talking to a black gentleman. And he had come up and we were explaining what we were doing. He asked if our guns were real and we told him yes. And we like, hey, come on, go get your guns and come join us. Well, he can't because he's a felon. 23 years ago, he committed a felony. 23 years ago. He's not been in trouble, and according to him. And I tend to believe him. The guy was very sincere. But for 23 years, he hasn't committed any other crimes other than a felony 23 years ago. You know what that felony was for? Well, surely, CJ, he had to have killed somebody or raped somebody or robbed somebody or stolen a car at gunpoint or, no, it was drug possession. The guy's a felon because 23 years ago when he was a young kid in his early 20s or late teens, I can't remember what he said, but 23 years ago, the guy looked about my age, so that would put him about 22 if he's my age. He had drugs on him, and he got a felony. And you know what happened? He pled to that felony. I'm not even going to say he had drugs on him. I'm going to say that's what the charges were. But he pled to it. He had to plead guilty because that kept him out of jail. He only got probation. By pleading guilty, he only got probation because he couldn't afford an attorney. Do you know how many times that happens in this country? The cops will make up charges against poor people, especially poor minorities, will make up charges knowing these guys can't afford to get an attorney or at least even a good attorney. And then what they end up doing is, because the prosecutors realize there's no evidence for this crime or the thing was so jacked up that there's no way they're going to get a conviction. So what they do is they scare the American people into taking a plea deal. And when you take that plea deal and you plead guilty, okay, all you got to do is plead guilty. Look, we'll take care of you, man. We'll take care of you. You plead guilty to this felony, and you'll get we'll just give you probation. No jail time. You know, maybe some volunteer service or something. Make you do some work on the weekends, pick up trash on the side of the road. And now you've got a felony for the rest of your life. Martha Stewart is a felon. Hey, Sam, is it clipping? Is the audio clipping? Is that what the problem is? It's an issue that happens every now and then. I'll try and step away a little bit from the microphone. Or is it just not loud enough? I can get closer if I need to. That's why we oppose universal background checks. When you accept that government can decide who is qualified to own a firearm, what stops the government from saying no one is qualified to own a firearm? So what we did was we allowed government to say, well, felons shouldn't have guns. And the intent behind that was to keep violent felons from owning guns. However, now every felon can't own a firearm. And that doesn't matter if your felony is insider trading or if your felony is owning a plant, is owning a plant. There are so many in Texas, here in Texas, it is a state jail felony to own more than 6 dildos. Vibrators, dildos, whatever you want to call them. Electronic devices for sexual pleasure. I don't know what the word is today. And why should someone lose their rights for that? So that's why we oppose universal background checks, because when you give the government the ability to say, you can't own a gun because we passed a law and we put some words on a piece of paper that makes a lawful activity that hurts no one an illegal act. And since you violated those words on that piece of paper, we are now going to take away all your civil rights. So, Texas citizens, seriously, if you have 7 dildos, it's a felony. Seriously, I kid you not, because the law says that is intent to distribute, and it is against the law to distribute dildos in Texas. Go look it up. There's 181 dildos in the Texas legislature. That's for sure. So you start off with felonies are bad, so we're going to ban all felons from having guns. And then you get to Texas. And Texas is like, shoot, everything's better in Texas. Shoot, felonies? Hell no. We're going to take your rights if you got a Class A or B misdemeanor right here in Texas. That's right. You can't get no license if you, if you littered. You can't get no license here in Texas if you committed some graffiti on a bridge somewhere, because that's a Class B misdemeanor. And we're going to take away your right to keep and bear arms for 5 years. That's right. 5 years, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and if you don't pay that traffic ticket, if you get a traffic ticket and you decide you're not going to show up at court because you don't think you should have to pay that traffic ticket and you get a contempt of court, that's a Class B misdemeanor. You're not a threat to anybody, but we're going to take away your guns for 5 years. You can't carry those things. So that's what happens. When you give government the ability to decide who can and can't have the right to keep and bear arms, you give government the ability to say nobody can keep and bear arms. That's why I oppose universal background checks. The only people that should not have the right to keep and bear arms, the only people are people who are in prison paying for those crimes. Once you have paid for those crimes, you should have all your rights reinstated. Why? This isn't a problem of guns, and this isn't a problem of violent people. This is a problem of our justice system. Our justice system is flawed. If we are letting violent, dangerous people out of prison, people who we can't trust with a firearm, then we have to admit that our prison system isn't doing what it's supposed to do. It has failed. That is where we need to focus ourselves. All right, I got 2 more clips here, and then I'm going to end this. This is Kirsten Gillibrand's plan to end gun violence.
And so I will do 3 things as president. First, I will make sure we have universal background checks. Second, I will make sure we ban the bump stocks, the large magazines, the assault rifles, the military-style weapons. I will make sure we have a federal anti-trafficking law.
What is a military-style weapon? I think I've asked this question before in my videos. Can someone please tell me what a military-style weapon is? This right here, this is my weapon of choice right here. This is my Sig Sauer Emperor Scorpion. It's a .45 caliber pistol, semi-automatic. It's beautiful. I love the Emperor because it's got I'm left-handed. I'm weird. I'm left-handed. So it's got the safety for me is on both sides. So a right-handed shooter can shoot it because it's got the safety lever on the correct side. And then a left-handed weirdo like me can shoot because it's got the safety on this side. But this is a 1911 semi-automatic .45 caliber pistol. Where does the 1911 semi-automatic .45 caliber pistol come from? It comes from the United States military. This is a military-style weapon. I guess. I don't know. Nobody seems to want to tell me what a military-style weapon is. A musket is a military-style weapon. It was used in the military. A shotgun is a military-style weapon. A sword is a military-style weapon. A knife, because when I was in combat, I had knives, is a military-style weapon. You notice they never talk about what they define as a military-style weapon?
And once we get money out of politics, the NRA will end its chokehold on members of Congress who have no courage to stand up to them and do the right thing on behalf of their constituents and the American people.
All right. So she was asked, all right, this is great. You've got this wonderful plan. This is, oh man, Kirsten Gillibrand, you are going to save the world with your gun control agenda. So what would you do to stop another Virginia beat? These people are crazed. The left is so crazy, they're so infatuated with the NRA that they don't even realize that their hate defies logic. Their hate defies logic. Because she was asked, okay, what would you do to stop another Virginia Beach shooting?
What happened in Virginia Beach? This gentleman, he didn't buy an assault weapon. He had 2 handguns. He bought them legally. So how do you prevent? I understand that all of your plans aren't going to stop all of them, but is there anything you could have done that would have stopped this terrible incident?
Okay, now what do you think she's going to say? She's going to bark out the standard talking points. Oh, we got to ban assault weapons, universal background checks. blah, 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 blah. She's going to, all that stuff. High capacity magazines and the gun show loophole. Am I missing anything? No, she doubles down on stupid, proving why blonde women should probably not be president.
Yeah, stop being beholden to the NRA like
Oh my gosh.
President Trump is.
The way she would stop another Virginia Beach shooting is to what again, Kirsten?
Yeah, stop being beholden to the NRA like President Trump is.
It's funny. It's funny because what's not funny is the Virginia Beach shooting, but what is funny is that the Virginia Beach shooter was a black Democrat, not an NRA member. So that's how she would have stopped it. But she goes on.
He does President Trump's bidding. Remember, after the shooting in Las Vegas, he said, yeah, we're going to ban the bump stocks. Did he ban the bump stocks? No.
Yes, actually, he did. He did ban bump. Well, okay. Kirsten Gillibrand is technically correct here because what the ATF did was they unlawfully and unconstitutionally redefined what an automatic weapon is. So what the ATF did was they decided they were going to pass a rule that redefines the term automatic weapon. The problem is only Congress can make those definitions. And Congress is the one, when they passed the NFA, defined what makes an automatic weapon. And so the ATF has passed a rule that says that the bump stock is considered an automatic weapon, therefore it is banned. The ATF belongs to President Trump, so therefore Trump did pass a bump stock ban, but the ban is actually unconstitutional, therefore, and it's unlawful because the ATF does not have authority or constitutional authority at all to change the wording of a law without congressional approval, without a bill, without a law. So on one hand, yes, Trump allowed this to happen because Trump did not say, stop, no ATF, I'm your boss, you will not pass that rule because that rule is unconstitutional. He didn't do that, but most people don't know that. And unfortunately, if you've got a bump stock like I do, you run the risk of one day having to just basically fight that in court. But let's continue with how Kirsten Gillibrand would stop another Virginia Beach.
Because the NRA came crashing down and said, don't you dare do any restrictions on our guns around this country. It is such a false choice. The NRA is lying to the American people. It is not about the Second Amendment. It is about gun sales.
And the NRA doesn't sell guns. So there you have it, folks. This is our unhinged left. The gun hate is amazing on the left. And they are so focused on the NRA as if, let me tell you, the NRA can go away right now and it would not change a thing because the NRA is made up of people. But what next? Gun Owners of America, let's say they succeed in shutting down the NRA. Well, what's next? Gun Owners of America, the National Association for Gun Rights, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, Open Carry Texas, Lone Star Gun Rights, Oklahoma Open Carry Association, Florida Carry, Bama Carry, the California Right to Keep and Bear Arms. They assume that if they just behead the dragon, that is the NRA, they don't see all the other heads that dragon has. All right, folks. That's it for the show. I wanted to keep this under an hour, and I've got to get to Austin. I've got to go turn in the van from this weekend. I just thought you'd like to hear some of the nonsense that is coming out of the left and all of that. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Look, I don't like the NRA. I can't stand the NRA. I just don't like them. Okay, I used to. Otherwise, I wouldn't have given them thousands of dollars and becoming a Patron Life member, which is only one level below, I think, their highest level, which is benefactor. And then, of course, you've got the Golden Eagles, which I'm a member of the Golden Eagles as well. But I'm going to call Second Amendment Foundation. Thanks, Roki. That's the other one that was trying to come to my head, and I couldn't remember it. So there you go. I hope y'all learned something today. I appreciate y'all listening and watching. Please like and share this video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Look, this is what I do, man. And so if you want to know about, see the videos, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I try not to spam with stupid crap. When I do decide to go live, hopefully it's important. It's something that people care about. Help me keep going. And if you want to support me, please support me. I don't beg for money on these shows. I do appreciate. I did see up here, and I didn't say anything because I was in the middle of Douchebag News. Thank you so much for your $10 donation. I really appreciate that. I didn't mention it when it first happened. So, all right. I appreciate it, guys. Take care. Be safe. And for all that is holy, please be free.